All right, this is the famous bush cooking kitchen, mate, and it looks like a pretty significant setup, mate. What are you running?
Yeah, it is. Well, I got one fridge here, mate. It's the freezer, so I run everything in here. It's fully frozen, okay? Then I come over to here and I got a fridge. So I'll run this on about -2. So this is the fridge. So this takes all the greens and the milk and stuff. And of course, yeah, the old table, it's got to be convenient. If it's not, remember the old motto with bush cooking, it's got to be easy.
Yeah.
If it's not easy, then no one wants to do it. And no one gets fed. You're eating out of tin of baked beans, aren't you? Mate, this is the command center.
Far out. Have a go.
All right, this is where it all happens. Now, all this stuff here, it's not mine. This is the cameraman, and he's a bit of a machine when it comes to the electronics, and he's a bit of a power-hungry monkey. He just wants all my power. So I've set the truck up this time. This is the new truck, remember? I've set this up to handle the power consumption. And this thing has lithium batteries.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
How many of them?
2 lithium batteries,
Yeah.
240 amp hours, the equivalent of having 480 amp hours of lead acid batteries.
So that's, for some people, almost like 5 deep cycle batteries you're running.
Yeah.
Equivalent of.
Oh, and weighs less, a third of one battery.
Gee, it's incredible.
Insane. New technology. Well, it's not new, but it's new to the four-wheel drive industry. And that's what we've got in here. And yeah, I've got battery monitors and I've got battery chargers for, you know, AC to DC. So when we need the generator running or something like that. And of course, a 1500 watt inverter, red arc inverter.
So what about the rest of the truck, mate?
For starters, have you worked it out? It's not a dual cab Hilux.
No.
Because that's what everyone thinks. It's a 200 series with 650 in the chassis.
Gotcha.
That's where the wheel used to be. That's where it is now. Mate, I would have to say, because I've had the white truck, now gone to the silver, it has to be one of Australia's best touring trucks.
Because this one has to tow you 6.8 metre boat as well.
Yeah.
How much weight do you got in that?
The boat weighs around the 3.8 tonne.
That's...
And then when I put a bit more in it, it's probably pushing 4 tonne.
And what do you weigh all up with boat and trailer?
So all up, we're around pushing 9 tonne.
9 tonne.
9 tonne on the road rolling.
And you mentioned winches, Jace. You got 2 in this one?
Yeah, 2 winches. I went for 2 winches,
Yeah.
as you know, from Series 5. With
Yeah,
Simon
a
and
little incident.
Yeah, so have a look at the rear winch, mate. There she is.
And how many pound do you run on the rear?
12,000 pound, 5.5 horsepower rear winch.
So you're not mucking around. And the same on the front?
Same on the front, synthetic rope, remote control.
Yeah.
It's just, it makes life a joy when you get rid of that cable and you use that synthetic rope. Have a look here. This is a good little setup. All the recovery gear goes straight in the back there. All the recovery gear.
And that's for Simon's biceps, right?
Oh, no, it's for the crane. That's our excuse.
And then what about sort of engine work and stuff like that? This is not a stock 200, is it?
No, definitely not stock. So we'll go around the front. So under the bonnet of the 200 is a twin turbo V8, okay? It has torque at chip, exhaust and pedal torque. Basically we're pumping out about 200 horsepower and possibly around 800 Newton meters of torque. You know, I got diff breathers, I got gearbox breathers. One of the biggest things in the bush is suspension, because thousands of kilometers of dirt roads, it'll destroy standard suspension. You would not drive this truck on stock suspension. In fact, it would not, I don't think we'd get out of Brisbane. You put that kind of weight in this truck on stock suspension, mate, forget it, stay at home.
So Jace, you run a couple of rooftop tinnies, but mate, this is the one I'm interested in. 6.8 metre boat at the northern tip of Australia. An awesome boat, but have a go at this trailer.
Yeah, the trailer's a bit of a weapon, built by the same company that builds the boat, CJ. And so I sat down with Troy from CJ and I put my years of experience into it from the trailer that I built years ago. And this is what we came up with.
Oh, it's a chunky piece of material, mate, let me tell you.
And you run the same tyres as you do on all the trucks?
Yeah, we try and run the same tyres as we do on the trucks.
Right.
So I run 2 spares per trailer.
Okay.
Okay, because you never know. And bearings, mate. Bearings are the biggest thing. They're one of the things we do carry, bearings. But there's a few little tricks that you can do so that you don't destroy your trailers.
Yeah.
And one of those tricks is this. So, being such a long trailer with a fairly large drawbar, you need to have some sort of tie down, and I mean some serious tie down. These are 2-ton ratchet straps, one on either side, and they basically tie this boat to that trailer, and the boat then becomes part of the chassis of the trailer.
Yeah.
And you get no flex.
Yeah, because you got corrugated roads, I'd imagine, and
Oh, corrugated beyond belief, and they get an absolute hiding. As you can see, it's not looking real flash at the moment, but it'll get a wash when it gets home. But rocks and corrugations are the big things that destroy trailers.
So Joe, swing away drawbar, pretty important for beach launches and, you know, sketchy off-road boat ramps.
Yeah, that's the one. I did have a horror experience at the Robinson,
Yeah.
and that came into its own. This little thing here is what saved us, okay? So that's obviously hub and bearing spare. All right, so you got a spare hub and bearing there. I take the 4 bolts out, it spins down, it then locks back into place, and that then becomes like a jockey wheel. So you unhitch off the back of your car, you get the car out of the bog, you send it up on the top, you send the winch down around the post, and you winch the whole boat out, and it just rolls on that jockey wheel. Otherwise, your drawbar all it would do is just spear into the ground, and there's no way on this planet, mate, that 2 big blokes could lift the front of this trailer.
So Jace, what about here? We've got little covers or brackets. Are they over your transducer or?
Yes. So I've got 2 transducers there, obviously wide scan, or what do they call it?
structure scan.
Structure scan.
Yep.
Yeah. So when you stab launch a boat into the beach or something like that, the first thing that gets ripped off, bang, is your transducers.
And it doesn't affect the beam of the transducer? You get no interference?
No, we do a little bit, you know, it's probably not the greatest, but the fact that we've got a transducer and it's not ripped off
Absolutely.
makes all
That's
the
a
difference.
great idea.
So it's solid as, it's a block,
Yeah.
basically. It sits inside, you can't break it off.
Largely, this is an off-the-rack CJ boat, but there's a few little tricks that you've sort of fabricated into it, haven't you? And this is something I haven't seen before. What's the purpose behind these straps?
So I spoke with Troy from CJ, and I mentioned to him what sort of conditions we were going to be doing, or travelling through, and I've learned again in the past that if you put a cross bracing for your roof or your canopy or your center console canopy, anything like that, and I actually got him to weld lugs in. You can see the lugs down at 4 points. The whole idea of that is to stop this movement here. And that's what'll kill. That'll kill any aluminium boat, any movement like that, and it'll just crack.
Crack the welds?
Yeah,
around the
crack
canopy and
your
everything.
supports, everything. So
Yeah, right.
over time, it will crack, all right? No matter how strong you build it. So to eliminate that, you put that in. Now I've got no sideways movement, okay? This way is no problem. It's this way, okay? And that's what stops it. And that is not for when we're driving out in the water. That is purely and simply when we're towing on corrugated roads. The other thing I've done is I've replaced, there is no water in this boat, meaning there is no water tank, because I replaced that with fuel.
Yep.
The biggest thing we find is range, so I replace all water with fuel. So 450 litres sits down under the floor, 200 litres sits in a bladder, and then we carry 120 litres in jerry cans, so 3/4 of a tonne of fuel.
Gee, and what sort of range would that give you?
It gives me a 1-to-1 roughly, so or 1.1 or 1.2. So 1.2 kilometres to the litre.
Gotcha. So we've seen the truck, we've seen the boat. That's a hell of a setup, mate.
Trailer, don't forget the trailer, mate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, chunky as.
Simon and I built the that quad bike trailer as well. We built that in the shed at home. So we learned a few tricks out of that one as well.
Yeah, not only what you've seen, they're carrying quad bikes, buggy, like you say, heaps of
44
extra
fuel.
rooftop tent, it's all happening.
It's awesome. I wouldn't mind any of it in my shirt. I'd be real
I know.
happy with that.
Yeah, no, look, over the years you learn the tricks, and you learn what to take, what not to take, what breaks and what doesn't break. And we've been doing this for a long time now, and we've been able to go to the toughest places in Australia and come back
Yeah,
with some of the biggest gear.
serious
I don't think
gear for
anyone
serious adventures, mate.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else does it. Well, that's it, boys. Adventure fishing in Arnhem Land is done and dusted. It's been absolutely awesome, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well.